Number 10, behind the scenes. I definitely would want to peek behind the curtain at Freddy Fazbear's, so to speak. How cool would it be to wander around the staff areas or roam the backstage, visit the storage room that holds all the animatronic suits, basically feel like you were an employee or a privileged VIP at the restaurant. Sure, you might have to worry about free roaming animatronics, maybe trying to kill you, but that's all part of the fun of the experience of actually visiting this place, right? Number 9, Spooky Mansion. I love the Curse of Dreadbear DLC, and so evidently I'm also a big fan of some of the locations that we visit there. Namely, I like everything that is based in and around the Spooky Mansion game mode. I personally would love to go to a mansion around Halloween that was completely FNAF themed and explore, interact with animatronics, and ideally eat a ton of candy. Candy is the best. When I used to go trick-or-treating, I would always sort my candy after, and my favorite candy, the one I would always eat first, would be the Reese Cups and the little mini Caramilks. We're not sponsored by either of those, but so good. I actually think that's the Caramilk slogan. I don't know, do chocolate bars have slogans? It's like something. Oh, maybe it's just caramel? Oh no, that's a different treat. Fun fact, some folks have already attempted around Halloween to bring the world of FNAF to life themselves by building haunted houses inspired by the franchise. So here's hoping we can all Halloween again this year and that you have one of these kinds of themed houses in your neighborhood. That would be so cool. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving this list, be sure to show it by giving this video a thumbs up. Number 8, Circus Baby's Entertainment and Rental. This place is just so steeped in lore, I think we'd all need to go there. Sister Location is also my favorite FNAF game, so you know I would want to crawl through those vents and feel that terror building up in my throat, that scream that I know I can't let out, because if I do, some free-roaming animatronic in the dark will find me. Ennard or Ballora, probably. I don't really know why I'd want to go to Sister Location. It is so terrifying, but I think a big part of it is that terror. Like we were talking about sort of at the beginning of this list, we seek out horror because we enjoy the feeling that it gives us. And Sister Location is very much that for me. In terms of visiting that space in real life, I wouldn't want to actually be hurt, just to feel that rush of danger where it feels like something could go terribly wrong, but I know I'm safe because it's all just pretend. I mean, this would just be pretend, right? If we're talking about these places. Number 7, The Office.
No! God, please, no! No!
One of the places I think we'd all like to see, sit at, and take pictures in would be the office. When I was a kid, I visited Minnie Mouse's house at Disney World, which I actually don't think is there anymore. This experience, though, was amazing. It meant I got to explore, roam around, and feel like I was Minnie Mouse for the day. I imagine visiting a version of the office that had, working tech, doors and tons of drawings and little details worked in would also be equally magical, except in a scary way. I guess what I'm saying is we need a FNAF world. Number 6, Circus Baby's Pizza World. I really just want to go here because I want to explore this location and see what mysteries I could potentially uncover. Circus Baby's Pizza World is still a location where I don't fully know what to expect. All I can guess is that it would be similar but different than Freddy's. Who are all the animatronics? Is the atmosphere and the themes the same? Are there more clowns and circus elements? Because that's what I picture. I imagine free unlimited buttered popcorn at every table, a ceiling covered in cloth made to look like the top of a big circus tent, lots of warm lighting, maybe even a show where acrobats perform. Perhaps even the serving staff have like circus-based talents. I really imagine it to be a magically themed restaurant, which is why I think it would be a cool place to visit. Just maybe don't let Circus Baby serve you any ice cream. Number 5, your own pizzeria. Who doesn't want to go and enjoy the fun and horror of the pizzeria they themselves created in Pizzeria Simulator? I know I do. Imagine getting to enjoy your own games, attractions, and animatronics that you picked to be in your pizzeria. The question is, would you want to visit this location as an employee, the owner and manager, or as a guest? I personally would want to be in the role of manager to see how others were enjoying their time at my pizzeria, as long as I didn't have to deal with any lawsuits. Number 4, Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. I mean, I think we all knew this one had to make the cut. What would a real Freddy's be like, though, if we could go? Would it be like Chuck E. Cheese? Would it be like some kind of cheaper version of that place? Would the food be any good? And when would you want to go? That would obviously affect the atmosphere. After the reopening, after the reopening, would you want to go when it first opened? Or see it looking a little more run down, a little more messy around the edges. A version with dirty back areas and corners, animatronics in disrepair. I personally would want to see a very shiny version of the restaurant, but one where maybe there was just one area where things felt kind of off, where there was this darker, more insidious presence that you could feel. Mostly delightful, but with this sharp edge of undenying horror waiting to cut you if you took a corner too closely or looked in the wrong direction at the right time. Number 3, Freddy Fazbear's Pizzaplex. We haven't gone there yet, but you know I cannot wait to go visit the Pizzaplex in Security Breach. It already just looks so expansive and so fun. I am a sucker for locations with lots of areas to explore, RPG gamer over here, and the idea of a more free roaming environment in the world of FNAF brings me a lot of joy. Terror-filled joy, but still joy. Mostly what I would want to do is enjoy that amazing go-kart track in the Pizzaplex. It looks like the go-kart track at Niagara Falls, but indoors. It's like scary Mario Kart come to life. I want to drive. What would be the part of the Pizzaplex that you'd be the most excited to go and check out? IRL. Number 2, Fazbear Frights. I personally think one of the places that makes the most sense to want to go is Fazbear Frights. Fazbear Frights is the horror attraction version of the pizzeria. We visited, of course, in FNAF 3. With its spooky interior and its haunted restaurant vibes, it just makes the most sense that this would be the real version. It just makes the most sense that this would be like the real version 1 that we might get. Complete with, as is described in the Fazbear Frights books, a gift shop as well. I like the idea of an interactive museum that's all about celebrating the horrific franchise that we've all come to know and love. Number 1, Help Wanted VR. How can we visit a game though, Amanda? How can we visit the game when we play? Help Wanted is just supposed to be a game. Even in canon, it's described as being a virtual experience. But if you could walk through this virtual experience, would you? Well, that is a thing that could actually happen. Around the world, there are a few virtual experiences that actually allow you to roam in a room and, in effect, interact with the virtual components you see in your headset, effectively transporting you to that place virtually through your senses. These experiences are interactive in a brand new way. For example, if you see a sink in the room you were in your headset, you can actually walk over to that sink in the real world, turn it on, and feel the water running on your hand as you watch it spill from the tap in VR. This takes VR to a whole new level where you don't just see and experience, but you can also feel, touch, and potentially even smell what's going on virtually around you. There's also tons of surround sound going on, so you might actually hear something behind you and then turn around and see it, if you know what I mean. It's pretty neat. Now imagine, if you will, doing this with the Help Wanted experience. I personally have done a horror walkthrough, a fully immersive VR horror experience before, and wow, it was terrifying. So I can pretty accurately imagine how scary Help Wanted in this experience would be. Number 10, Fredbear's Family Diner. Fredbear's Family Diner is one of the more terrifying locations in the game, simply because it's so mysterious. This location provides more horror in the lore and in the lack of knowledge that we have about it, as opposed to direct atmosphere. The Fredbear Family Diner has been associated with the Bite of 83 and was the first Freddy-related location. Its animatronic stars, Fredbear and Spring Bonnie, would go on to inspire the animatronics that we saw in the original game, Golden Freddy as well as Freddy Fazbear and Bonnie. In the FNAF book, The Silver Eyes, this location is involved in the kidnapping of a child. Charlie, or Charlotte, one of the founders of the restaurant, Henry's daughter, finds herself kidnapped by William Afton in the book, while he's disguised as Spring Bonnie. Eventually, Afton would also be responsible for Charlie's death. Number 9, Circus Baby's Pizza World. Circus Baby's Pizza World was closed before it even had its grand opening, and is referred to in the game's sister location. It was the restaurant created by William Afton after Fredbear's Family Diner closed. or one of the restaurants. Circus Baby was its lead animatronic, joined by her friends and animatronic bandmates, Ballora, Funtime Freddy, and Funtime Foxy. This location is likely where Elizabeth Afton snuck off to play with Circus Baby alone, resulting in her death when something went wrong with Baby, causing the animatronic to kill Elizabeth. Number 8. Circus Baby's entertainment and rental. After the restaurants were closed down, a rental location was opened to rent out the animatronics not being otherwise used. Circus Baby's entertainment and rental is the main location of the FNAF game sister location. As the player, you get to explore this new location in the role of a newly hired animatronic maintenance worker named Mike, who is referred to by the artificial interface as Eggs Benedict. One of the most unsettling things about the locations is that you often have to crawl from room to room in dark vents, and you are forced to shock the animatronics into performing daily. I don't know about you, but if someone was like, just shock that animatronic, it'll be fine, I'd be like, I'm not doing that. Number 7, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. So obviously there has likely been more than one location with this name, and it's been alluded to that there have been multiple that have opened and closed their doors. But for the purpose of this list, I would like to focus on the location that we first work in FNAF 1. The very first Freddy's that we as the players get to experience. This location is the most iconic, simple, and was the first one to start us off on this wacky FNAF roller coaster. It is the location that originally struck fear into gamers' hearts, and its success is what helped the franchise to expand and grow. Freddy Fazbear's has multiple areas for you to monitor from the safety of your office. Safety. There's no safety in that game. This location is actually revealed to be shutting down later in the year due to not being able to attract a new buyer and a lack of revenue. This lack of revenue also affects how much power you can use during your shift, meaning that you can only check your cameras, flash your doorway lights, and close your doors for so long before you'll run out of power and be completely vulnerable to attacks from the animatronics. Number 6. Fazbear's Fright. This is the location of FNAF 3. Fazbear's Fright was actually a horror attraction similar to a haunted house intended to be an exact replica of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. The horrific rumors surrounding the restaurant franchise provided the allure for people to visit and hopefully, get a little spooked. That's what we do at horror attractions. This location even managed to get their hands on an animatronic, which you later discover is Springtrap. After surviving the 6th night in the game, you discover that Fazbear's Fright has burned down. In sister location, the burned Fazbear's Fright appears in an unlockable cutscene as well, which reveals that Springtrap actually still roams its charred halls. Number 5, Salvage Room. This is a location belonging to the game Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator. After finishing your shift, you get to visit this room and get the chance to salvage animatronics for cash. If you choose not to salvage the animatronics, you won't get paid, but if you choose to salvage, you'll get paid. But you'll also run the risk of, being killed by the animatronic that you're working to salvage. The room is also just eerie, as it's mostly shrouded in darkness. There's only one single light bulb hanging that mostly illuminates the animatronic you are working on and your work table. Not spooky at all. Number 4, Vents. The vents are a location used in multiple different facilities throughout the different FNAF games. Whether you are crawling through them yourself or just monitoring them from afar to make sure no animatronics are in there, the vents are frightening. Now, animatronics typically crawl through them to sneak up on you, surprise you, and, ultimately kill you, which is why I don't like them. Sometimes it's too dark in those vents, and I'm like, you can't see what's coming. Gotta really listen. Number 3, Bedroom. The bedroom is one of the main locations in FNAF 4, where you as a child hide from the nightmarish versions of the animatronics who are tormenting you, stalking around your home and trying to catch you, and probably kill you. The bedroom is large and dark, and you only have a flashlight to protect you. It's kind of like the original game's office, except in this version, you are a child armed with just a flashlight to protect you, and no monitors to really see what exactly is coming at you. You are forced to run from location to location in the bedroom to shine your flashlight and check for animatronic monsters as you attempt to survive the night until 6 a.m. in the morning, when you will be safe for the entire day. Until it's night again, and then you do it all again. That's how these games go. Number 2, The Office. Once again, we are going back to where it all started. There have been many offices since, of course, but the office from the first Five Nights at Freddy's is, well, it's where it all started. This office isn't just terrifying because of the creepy Freddy posters, the creepy cameras you can monitor from within, or because of what might be lurking just outside the hallway. It's terrifying because you can't leave it. The first game and what the office represents in it is the interesting and frightening take on survival horror that Scott Cawthon gave us with this game. A survival horror where you can't fight or run, you can't get away, and where you can't completely barricade yourself in a room even. He made just sitting alone in an office a terrifying experience. But what could be more frightening than The Office? Number 1, the scooping room. As if the first time that you arrive at this location isn't terrifying enough, Sister Location found a way to elevate the horror of this location further when it took you right into the heart of the scooping room, placing you in the machine's clutches itself when you were guided to it by Circus Baby during the true ending of Sister Location. The room is frightening not just because of the darkness and ambiance, but because of what happens here. The character you play as, Eggs Benedict, aka Mike, is killed by the scooping machine, with his guts being scooped out as though he were an animatronic himself, which of course, he will sort of become one. Granted, he weirdly enough goes on to survive. Well, like he dies, but then he comes back. It's a little confusing. But just the horror behind the idea of having your insides scooped out is enough to take this location to the number 1 spot of our list. I definitely would not want to go to the scooping room. Whether it be inside a suit myself where I have to tighten all those screws, or whether it be where I have my insides scooped out and have an endoskeleton put in me. Either way, does not sound fun. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed exploring some of the more frightening locations behind the FNAF franchise. Honestly, though, so many of them are scary.
Number 10, the boiler room. The boiler room from FNAF VR is the location of the entered vent repair minigame. If you saw the video where I did the mangle vent repair, you may know that I didn't continue to the entered vent repair. Because screw that. But also because the boiler room and the whole entered vent repair is terrifying. The whole situation that you're in is just the worst. Ennard is one of the scariest and most intimidating animatronics. It's the worst. I can't. If you get caught in the boiler room alone, you might as well just accept death. Plus, we burn Ennard at the end. But it wasn't Ennard, because he jump scares you after. So, who did we burn? What happened? Was it just a person? Was it an animatronic? Who let out that ungodly scream? I don't know, and it scares me. Number 9, Plush Baby's room. I've avoided all the Plush Baby minigames in FNAF VR because, well, I hate them. The Plush Babies are like the little kids your mom tells you to play with at family reunions that just end up using you like a jungle gym. Or that kid that runs out of the house when you want to talk to your friend and their parents do nothing because they're just a bunch of human garbage. So you have to chase him all the way down the street and carry him back home while he is biting you and punching and kicking you. And instead of getting a thank you for saving my son's life for the 4th time, you get a Jordan sleeping and a door closed on your face. That was probably a little specific to sound like a generalization, huh? Yeah, that's a story for another day, but basically that's the story. Either way, I hate the Plush Babies and actively refuse to play them until I ultimately will have to. The room is terrifying, and when it's full of plushies in blacklight mode, it makes it even worse, because all Plush Babies look the same aside from a colored shirt. Just don't play it. Don't. And at 8, the Corn Maze. The Corn Maze is probably the worst FNAF VR minigame to some, but honestly, the only scare factor in it now, for me, are the crows. The Corn Maze is a minigame that in essence acts like an ending to the Help Wanted DLC, The Curse of Dreadbear, where you wander around a maze in search of colored keys. You can get 1 key and escape, or you can get all 4 keys, which unlocks a secret brown and purple glitching key. This unlocks a cellar at the beginning of the maze that contains everything that would normally be in the Victory Barn, except run down and broken up. Note, this isn't the Victory Barn because, well, it's a cellar. And there isn't enough space. On a table nearby, you can find a mask that will slow your character's breathing and seem to put them at peace. However, the actual maze has you running away from Grim Foxy, one of the 2 new animatronics added by the DLC, and honestly, one of the scariest animatronics in the whole series. This guy has like magma dripping out of his body, or at least it looks like it to me. And it's 7, Breaker Room. The break room from the Five Nights at Freddy's 5th game sister location is located on the other side of Ballor's gallery within Circus Baby's entertainment and rental, which means that when you get there, you need to get through the dangerous task of defending yourself against Ballora, which is already difficult in and of itself. But once you get there, you need to power up the building while also fending off Funtime Freddy. A whole load of stuff will already have happened tonight, and it's only night 2. You will have failed to shock Baby, and you will also have warded off the Biddy Baps. That's when Hand Unit will direct you to manually restarting the system. Then you need to crawl through Ballor's gallery while not getting caught by her, and then you finally get there to your salvation, only to find out that you need to fight off Funtime Freddy as well. At least once you do it, you'll never need to go back, but Jesus Christ, really? On night 2? And at 6, the crying child's bedroom. Well, last time Amanda talked about the closet from FNAF 4, the one that usually contains Foxy, let's talk about the bedroom as a whole, and why this kid just didn't cry out to his parents or call for someone. Sure, these animatronics aren't real, as confirmed by Nightmare Fredbear's line in Ultimate Custom Night, but these things are still horrifying. Why would you just sit there and try to ward them off? It's like Eddie VR said, if he had to deal with it, he'd be yelling for his parents, his lights would be on, and they'd be getting the Jesus candles out. Why doesn't this kid just turn a light on? That could literally be the solution to all your problems. Is it because he was told not to? Because I don't care. I'd get in trouble if it would mean saving me from not dying. This whole thing is just because this kid's a moron, not because he's brave and wants to save himself. Truly brave people ask for help. Not to mention, he definitely has a window in there, as evidenced by both the FNAF 4 minigames and the fact that I'm pretty sure it's the law that you need to have a window in any bedroom of a house, so that those inside can escape in case of a fire. Just saying, or in case there's animatronics coming to kill you. Halfway through at number 5, Pirate's Cove Ride. While this ride is definitely the most relaxed out of the FNAF VR minigames, however, if you accidentally hit one of the helpy signs and then don't notice or can't change it back before you continue on, you end up going to a secret section that, while it gives you more points, you have the possibility of getting killed, like any good Walt Disney ride. Like having to hit a button regularly until Bonnie goes away, or having the animatronics put right next to you and making you need to close the door quickly before they can get to you. It's terrible and horrifying and just not fun, okay? All I want to do is shoot my balls at targets because I can't go to any theme parks to play their shooting games. So can I just do this without the potential of dying, please? Oh, and if you don't get enough points, you get killed. Rude. And at 4, game over. The menu screen of the original FNAF VR game is actually terrifying, but when it comes to the game over menu, it's not that bad, unless you play the Curse of Dreadbear DLC. The DLC game over menu is one of the most terrifying locations in any of the FNAF games. You load in and immediately see a giant Dreadbear lurking over you, who will reach out towards you as if he's about to take you to the afterlife. You also see 8 gravestones on a hill, one for each of the original missing children, Cassidy, Fritz, Jeremy, Susie, and Gabriel, one for the puppet, aka Charlotte, and one for the crying child, Afton's unintended 7th victim, or first depending on how you look at things. And the purple glitching one in the middle for old Willie Afton himself. Oh, and if you look behind you, Grim Foxy is watching over you, staring at you, and will occasionally just move his claw down the post, carving away at it ever so slightly, showing you how sharp his hook really is. Getting close to the end, at number 3, Fall Fest 83. The DLC also takes place during a fall festival creatively named Fall Fest 83, presumably because it's 1983. The festival could also relate back to the Spook Fest referenced in the posters from FNAF 6's Alley, since those same posters can appear in the victory bar, frustrating the hell out of you because it means that there aren't 3 clowns. However, the fact that this whole DLC surrounds this festival really shows why this is number 3. The only reason we need to find the plush babies in the Plushkin Patch is because of the festival. The only reason the hallway exists or the corn maze exists is because of the festival. And the fact that the only reason I have to get tortured again is because of the damn festival makes it one of the scariest locations or events in the entire goddamn series. You notice I haven't played FNAF VR in a while? And ultimately, in at number 2, the Pizza Party. The final minigame of FNAF VR is Pizza Party. It unlocks after completing all other minigames in both hard mode and normal mode. However, it's at the end of the game that truly makes it the most horrifying moment in not just the game, but the entire series. While some minigames will give you jump scares, Pizza Party will give you the most intense real horror experience. Because once you make it backstage with Uncle Fluffy, he tells you to come with him onto stage. You stand in the back room surrounded by broken animatronics representing the other victims, Tape Girl and Jeremy, and Pizza and Cake, but somehow you still follow, and what joins you is getting stuffed into Freddy, as indicated by the microphone in our hand, and the announcer introducing us as if we had hit the Showtime button. It's one of the darkest moments because it's real. It happened to us. We've been hearing about kids getting stuffed this whole time, but now we've experienced it. It's happened right in front of our faces. To us. So I guess using our faces. So now we know how it feels, and that's pretty messed up, actually. Jeez. Finally, in at number 1, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Everyone has been making jokes about Scott opening a real-life Freddy Fazbear since Chuck E. Cheese is closing. Also, rip my childhood, okay, the end of an era. But until a few days ago, this was all just jokes, for the most part. Until MatPat released his latest theory on FNAF and started it off with a proposition for Scott Cawthon. He said that with their expertise, they could reasonably turn a Chuck E. Cheese restaurant into a Freddy Fazbear themed joint and could even make a YouTube Red series about it to help them paying for such an endeavor. While that does sound amazing, I don't think they'll actually do it, but imagine if they did. Imagine if MatPat and Scott joined forces and created a real-life Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. I think it would be safe to say that we would all be scared of going. But also, that it would be awesome. I could help too, if they needed any help, you know, if help was wanted. Notice me, senpai. Ooh. Oh, what am I doing? I just want MatPat to know who I am.
In at 10, Pizzaplex. The security breach Pizzaplex is currently not that scary. The space is open and there isn't really any jump scares from what we've seen, at least if you don't get caught. But there are maintenance tunnels and stalking animatronics that will send a shiver down your spine. Looking at the animatronic alcoves, noticing Roxanne is missing, and then turning to see her running at you full steam is going to be horrifying. Especially in smaller spaces like the kitchen and enclosed areas of the laser tag arena and Chica's playpen, as well as the maintenance tunnels and other locations. This is going to have me actually screaming. Should I play this on a channel when it comes out? I kinda don't want to. In at 9, Back Rooms. The FNAF VR DLC's Pirate Ride is one of the most chill minigames in the world, at least the first time. After that, the minigames get freaky once you start hitting the helpy cutouts in certain levels. These, when facing left, take you backstage behind the main ride into areas that can actually jump scare you. These have 100-point targets though, making them necessary in order to get the highest score possible, which ironically is actually 0. These areas include but are not limited to sections where you get trapped right next to Jacko, Chica, and Bonnie, having to close the door on them before they get to you, and a good minute of defending yourself against 2 animatronics as they walk on treadmills coming your way, hitting a target that will repel them backwards until the guard guides you to safety. These sections can be freaky as hell, and one wrong move and you're animatronic food. But it's good if you want to relax, just do your best not to hit Helpy. And if you do, hit him again so he faces right before you move to the next section. Hot tips. And at 8, Repair Vents. FNAF VR not only puts you through the weirdest Disney ride ever, but they also make you repair the vents at Fazbear locations, one of which has been shut down because of Mangle being stuck inside them, and the other because Ennard wanted to say hello. The Mangle vent repair starts off with Mangle in your face, but at least she's scared of light, making you complete simple puzzles while checking the vents around you, and then you're fine. But the Ennard vent repair kicks things up 5 notches, where you need to complete more complex puzzles within a certain time frame, otherwise you get spooked. This includes following wires to hit buttons in the correct order, and a series of gear puzzles meant to take forever, and rotating pipes to ultimately burn Ennard alive, until it jump scares you by nearly getting into your vent. The vent repairs are not for the faint of heart, since the animatronics are right in your face, and your only defense is looking at them. The Ennard repair also features Springtrap crawling at you slowly, and the nightmare mode for these is just even worse. Don't do it. And at 7, Funtime Auditorium. Funtime Auditorium is featured in Sister Location as well as FNAF VR. In Sister Location, you have to navigate through the room while using a flash to temporarily see where you're going while Funtime Foxy chases you. In FNAF VR, it's the same, only in VR. Sure, you can play it in flat mode, but it's not nearly as terrifying. Having Funtime Foxy after you is bad, yes, it's scary and you'll probably scream. However, in FNAF VR's nightmare version of this dark room, you have to deal with every animatronic. Bump into any of them, and you're screwed. Well, not really every animatronic, but a load of them scattered throughout the room. So not only do you need to avoid Funtime Foxy, but you need to navigate around the others as well. I hate the dark, it leaves me alone with my thoughts, but a dark room while something is chasing me and I only have a temporary light source before that room is dark again, no thank you! Especially if I bump into someone and they kill me. It's like walking in New York, only you can't see anything. That's how I imagine New York. And at 6, Ruined Freddy's. The FNAF VR DLC The Curse of Dreadbear adds 3 new sections of minigames. Danger Keep Out is the last one, and probably one of the most terrifying. You're back in the FNAF 1 security office, however this time the pizzeria is abandoned and boarded up. You don't have proper electricity and you can't close the doors, only camera flashes to keep you safe. Flash any of the animatronics and they vanish, giving you more time, until you need to reset the power. You get 5 flashes before having to reset, and while it resets, you're left in darkness. Not to mention Foxy works the same way as he did, and on the final night when Dreadbear comes for you, he doesn't get reset. Flashing merely stops him from advancing for a time. Forget about him and you're done, no matter how much flashing you can do. And I mean like flashing light, not flashing anything else. So please be clothed if you're playing this game, just because you're probably gonna piss yourself. Halfway through number 5, Pizza Party. The final minigame of Help Wanted is Pizza Party, where you have to navigate your way through the various rooms of the pizzerias to get to your party. The whole time you're avoiding animatronics that will sometimes jump scare you, sometimes not. But the real horror comes from when you get to your party. It wasn't thrown by your friends, it wasn't thrown by your family, it was thrown by Glitch Trap. Yeah. After seeing the ruined bodies of Chica and Bonnie, Glitch Trap appears from behind a curtain. Your final moment is spent walking through that curtain as the screen goes black. Next thing you know, you're on stage with a microphone in your hand. You've been stuffed, put in the Freddy suit by none other than William Afton himself. But how? He wasn't meant to be in the game. He was some code that got scanned in by accident, right? Well, it's too late now. That's one of the scariest moments of any of the games. You experiencing what every other child has once William has shown them where their other pizzas are kept? Jesus, even now it gives me chills. Especially with that dancing at the end. What the hell was that? That's like me but worse. And at 4, Fazbear Frights. FNAF 3 is one of the scariest games in the series, period, no question. So, imagine what it would be like if you were stuck there in real life. A part man, part animatronic killing machine constantly after you. Sounds like it should be easier since you're only dealing with one real character, but Springtrap is nuts, man. He wasn't dead at that point, so it's still William's killer instinct coming after you like you stumbled into the wrong area while looking for the bathroom at your birthday party. And the whole location is in disarray, it's ruined. And for some reason they thought it was a good business decision to release an animatronic that was kept sealed in a room for 30 years and must have smelled horrible to the public. They knew it was a bad idea because they themed the joint as a horror experience. At least if it wasn't Henry. If it was Henry, then he must have let him out in order to finish him. Or let him out by accident while checking to see if he was in the room. Which is the more likely scenario since it would be easier to kill him if he was stuck in the room. But that would also mean that Henry hired you as the guard as basically a sacrifice to William so that he would stay in the FNAF 3 location. Oh man, that just got worse. And at 3, Plush Trap's Hall. FNAF 4 was the introduction of the nightmare animatronics, making it the scariest game for some. However, the real horror comes from Plush Trap's hallway. In this minigame, Plush Trap sits on a stool at the opposite of the hallway. Your goal is to let him get closer and eventually flash your light at him while he's on the red X. This is such a bad idea. You're trapped in this tiny hallway with an animatronic killer that you have to willingly let get closer to you. Why? Why can't you keep your light on it until you can rip it apart and bury the pieces in different zip codes? Turn the goddamn light on for fuck's sake. Why put your life at risk? I know it's just a game, it could just be a nightmare, but if it's not a nightmare, why are you being so dumb? I don't care if you're a kid. When I was a kid, if I'm scared or in danger, I turn the light on, even if it won't help. But if light is the one thing keeping this thing from attacking you, why are you willingly playing with fire? That's stupid, and that makes this minigame scary, but you know what? You also deserve it. And at 2, Corn Maze. The Corn Maze from the Curse of Dreadbear DLC for Help Wanted is the scariest minigame I've played, at least until you understand how it works. In the maze, you run around looking for keys. Each key works with the corresponding colored door. Collect all 4 and a brown and purple glitched key appears that opens a secret ending in the cellar. But this entire maze is creepy as hell, with Grim Foxy knowing your location at all times unless you're hiding behind a cardboard cutout, making him unable to see you but knowing you're in the area. The worst part about this maze though is the crows. They're on the ground periodically in clusters that will make a loud caw and fly away if you step on them. Not only do they scare the absolute bejesus out of you, but they also alert Foxy to your location, making him speed up his search. But once you know about the letting him see you and then hiding strategy, you're mostly okay. Now just gotta watch out for the other jump scares, like the damn frickin' crows. The hell? Yo, my game is glitching. What? Play area not found? What? I gotta redraw this already? What? I don't know if the game is going or not. Finish. Why did my play area suddenly disappear? That's not okay. What? Okay, here's another key. Oh, frack. He's like right up front. And I also can't hear my game anymore. Why can't I see? I can't hear my game. No! No! Why? I can't hear my game. Finally, in at number 1, Nightmare Hallway. The final spot has got to go to the hallway from Curse of Dread there. It could have been the real Freddy Fazbear's Pizza that was shown through coordinates thanks to Scott's website having a load of 8 and 7s in its source code, but Amanda used that in part 1 so it feels wrong to use it again. The hallway is the first of the Spooky Mansion levels in the Help Wanted DLC, and it's easy to see why it's the worst. A long hallway with multiple invisible doors on the walls that you can't see until they're open, and if you're next to one when they do open, you get jump scared. Foxy will face opposite you at random times, and if you move while you can see him, you'll get jump scared. That's not that bad, but you don't know when you're going to see Foxy. Then once you're halfway down the hallway, a door from where you started opens, releasing Nightmare Freddy along with the Freddles, who will walk up to you from behind at a constant rate, meaning that if you stand still for too long, thanks to Foxy, the doors, or a combination of the two, you'll get jump scared. And when he's close to you, you see his shadow when the lightning flashes, making things even worse. This is probably the hardest minigame in the DLC, and that's one of the reasons I didn't play it. I hate VR horror, but that just feels like too much for me.
Number 10, Dining Area. While the whole Freddy's location itself in FNAF 1 is pretty terrifying, it's the atmosphere created by the smaller rooms that help to give the entire restaurant a really eerie and creepy feel. One such location is the dining area. The fully dressed party tables in the completely desolate location are already enough to make a chill creep down your spine. There is something about the currently abandoned dark restaurant which you would normally affiliate with the bright smiles and laughter of children that cuts to the bone. It feels ominous, and while you watch from the safety of your security camera, like you definitely shouldn't be at this place after hours. Even though you should, because it's your job. This room gives you that feeling that someone is creeping up behind you when you gaze at it, reminding you that although you appear alone, you're most certainly not alone in this place. Number 9, The Closet, FNAF 4. In FNAF 4, you had to run around and monitor different locations in your bedroom to avoid getting scared and gobbled up by the Nightmare Fredbear. One of the locations within your room that you have kept an eye on is the closet. Why is this so terrifying? Well, I feel like many children have that natural fear of what could be lurking inside their closet. And I'm an adult now, and yet I still sometimes get that fear. Especially as your closet in the game, like mine currently in my room, is on the opposite wall from your bed, close to the foot of your bed. Not even talking about the fact that there actually could be monsters in this closet. In fact, there likely is. There is just something about a closet being near where my feet are when I sleep that is unsettling. Because you know those monsters are going to drag you by your feet into that closet and probably murder you, right? If they emerge while you slumber. That's just how it goes with closet monsters. Number 8, Backstage. With all the heads on shelves, who wouldn't be terrified by the backstage location in FNAF 1? Your first playthrough, knowing this is a horror game about animatronics who come to life, will likely make you view this whole setup in complete horror. This is, after all, where the animatronics start out in FNAF 1 before starting to roam around and trying to get into the office so they can kill you. They also have a tendency to get up real close to the camera sometimes in this location, which, as you maybe quickly flip through all the security cams, can catch you off guard and give you a bit of a scare. Number 7, Your Own Home. While it might not be featured in the games themselves, your home can feel pretty scary as the location that is most likely featured for you in the augmented reality mobile FNAF game Special Delivery. In this game, you take on animatronics who come right into your home to entertain you, bringing Freddy's experience right to your door, or wherever else it is that you dare to play Special Delivery. I would recommend personally playing it in a somewhat dim lit hallway if your phone's camera is good enough. The idea that something could pop up behind me further down the hallway always gets me when I'm playing, making me freak out when an animatronic is sent my way. Also, it's really fun to just spin around in hallways. That's fun. And scary. Especially if you get an animatronic coming your way from the main cast. In fact, I think this might be one of the rare instances when Freddy appears to be the scariest of them all. I normally don't say that. I don't think Freddy's that scary, but in Special Delivery, it's pretty scary. Number 6, Parts and Service Room, FNAF 2. Another spooky area we are forced to monitor on a regular basis is the Parts and Service Room in FNAF 2. This area is often terrifying in appearance because of how dilapidated it is and how broken down and tattered the animatronics here also appear. The animatronics who have fallen into disrepair often appear here, hence the name Parts and Service. They are really only good for scraps, and you can tell that this makes them more resentful and aggressive than other animatronics. Also, Mangle! Okay, so when you see Mangle here for the first time, it's just terrifying because it looks like it's just an animatronic head and a mess of wire, and so you get a terrifying closer look when it comes for you in the office in this game. Ugh, Mangle. Get out of here. Number 5. The Back Alley. FNAF 6. While we never actually get to properly explore the back alley that appears in Pizzeria Simulator, it is the source of all the damaged and disturbing looking animatronics that we can salvage, and any glimpses we do get of it are terrifying. It's definitely not a place you'd want to wander into alone at night. Unless of course you really need to salvage some animatronics for a quick buck, I suppose. We also get another peek at what appears to be the back alley in the FNAF book, The Freddy Files, where we see Scrap Baby's silhouette standing in what seems to be the dim light of that alley. And yikes, that picture itself feels like something out of a nightmare. Number 4. Pirate Cove. Pirate Cove of course is just terrifying because of everyone's favorite and frightening animatronic, Foxy. If it's your first time playing FNAF 1 as well and you haven't watched any videos of it being played, it's likely going to be an even more terrifying location for you if you don't give Foxy the respect he deserves and actually monitor the location properly. When Foxy starts to peek out from behind that curtain, you're likely going to be frightened, and when he comes sprinting out at you that first time, if you're caught unawares, you're going to be more than frightened, you'll be terrified. Number 3. Opening title. I'm not sure if we consider this a location, but it's so frightening that we probably should. In FNAF 7, the VR game Help Wanted, the opening title is just eerie. Now, nothing can happen to you here, you can't get jump scared, but because it's VR and you can turn around feeling like you're actually in a Freddy's location yourself, while giant animatronics loom over the title looking down at you, it's pretty unsettling. The fact that the animatronics' eyes and heads seem to follow your movements, and how real-like in 3D everything looks, makes this one of the most terrifying opening title settings yet for the FNAF franchise. And potentially one of the most opening titles of all time. Number 2. The Scooping Room. FNAF 5. I said scooping really weird there. Scooping room. It's an exciting word to say. One of the most terrifying places in the game is the Scooping Room, which is one of the areas in Circus Baby's entertainment and rental featured in FNAF 5 sister location. The Scooping Room isn't just terrifying because it's where you are killed and get scooped, though of course there is also that. It's also just frightening enough when you wake up there the first time, hearing other animatronics be scooped and finding out that Circus Baby has basically kidnapped you and hidden you in an animatronic spring lock suit. You are then forced to fend off Bellora's mini-renas while keeping an eye on the spring locks, so you don't die from the suit's springs and gears getting loose and skewering you. Number 1. The Real Freddy's. In 2015, fans found a mysterious set of coordinates in the source code of Scott Cawthon's website. Of course, Scott is often known for hiding lots of little Easter eggs in there, so fans pieced together the coordinates and entered them into Google Maps to see what kind of gem they'd found. The coordinates led them to a pizzeria in Virginia. This led many loyal fans to believe that Scott was trying to hint that this was the pizzeria that inspired FNAF, and maybe even was somehow distantly connected to the events of the games. However, this turned out to be false, and while fans have also found a few pizzerias with Freddy in the name, Scott would later go on to dismiss any connection to any of the speculative real pizzerias, even asking fans to please stop calling any locations that bear similarity to the restaurant franchise featured in the games, as it was disruptive to these legitimate businesses. Still, although this proved to be just a fluke, wouldn't it be scary and cool if there was a real, potentially haunted or dilapidated pizzeria that inspired the games? If there were, that would likely be the most terrifying FNAF location of all, because it would be real. Also, if it was in business, it'd probably be really popular too.